Leftists so desperately want to remove your rights and freedoms, they are stretching. This is probably the most egregious example I've seen in a long time. It's almost as bad as the way that they were characterizing what happened at the Capitol on January 6th. Oh, it was an insurrection of epic proportions. It was a couple of broken windows and a jarred door. But what they're doing with the Georgia spa murders, or the Atlanta shooting, or the hate crime that wasn't. Yeah, we seen what the motivations, what Robert Long confessed to on the day as just being a fucking Coomer's rage, just coming out wanting to remove any sort of fucking temptation that his warped, sick mind could possibly proceed. And no charges, no hate crime charges have been laid. We'll read a little bit of this one here. So, a man suspected of killing 8 people in 3 separate shootings at spas in the Atlanta area on Tuesday had allegedly admitted to the killings and blamed his addiction to sex as the motive, authorities said. The suspect, 21-year-old Robert Aaron Long of Woodstock, Georgia, was taken into custody Tuesday night following a police pursuit, authorities said. The Cherokee County Sheriff's Office said Long confessed to the shootings in Cherokee County and Atlanta. He was charged Wednesday afternoon with 4 counts of murder by the Atlanta Police Department and 4 counts of murder and 1 count of aggravated assault for the person who did survive the shooting, so he just about killed 9 people, by Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. Nothing else. Those are the charges that are on the books. He's apparently going to be in court on Thursday, so we'll be taking a look what happens there, if there's anything that comes out of it. But the response from the media right now is fucking bonkers. Like Risa Ring here saying, why is Georgia's mass shooting not being called a hate crime? Because he said he was doing it for other reasons than that. Or Senator Duckworth, Atlanta spa shooting, looks racially motivated to me. Thanks, Spatula Feet. We didn't really need your input. Or Tracy Kwan of Los Angeles Times. Don't forget, the Georgia shootings are a hate crime against sex workers. See, it's still a hate crime because we need to be able to divide the country up along whatever lines we can figure them out so we can pit them together so nobody can hold us actually accountable, so that the man behind the curtain can continue to pull all the strings. Meanwhile, all the plebs are just running at each other stupidly in a never-ending conflict. That's what they want. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to draw this up and make it into a bigger deal than it actually is, instead of focusing on the 8 people who died, the 1 person who survived, whose life is going to be fucked up, all because I don't know if they wanted a happy ending or not. Maybe they just needed a little bit of stress relief. But instead, no. 6 people who died were Asian, therefore hate crime. What? That's fucking retarded. Not quite as retarded as Julie Chu saying that massage parlor shootings should be considered a hate crime. I don't know how you could possibly want to do this, okay? Now that there's a senator and a representative in the House, what are they going to try to do? What are they going to try to do? Listen, this story's only a few days old at this point. There's going to be hate crime laws, at least tabled in Congress. They might get pushed through. This is just going to be that example, okay? You've seen all the grabs that they were trying to make from Capitol Hill riots. It wasn't enough. It wasn't a big enough display. As much as the media was out there kicking up dust, just trying to create smoke out of it, they're going to do the exact same thing here, okay? There's a big body count. 8 people dead is a mass shooting. It's a terrible thing. It's a tragic thing that happened. But it's not what you want it to be, and it's not something that you can continue to trumpet. But they're going to, because this is the Democrats' tactics, okay? So on Sunday, Julie Chu stated firmly during an interview on ABC's This Week that she strongly believes that the Atlanta shooting that left 8 people and 6 Asian women, it was 6 among the 8 dead, come on now, should be tried as a hate crime. Why? Aren't 8 consecutive life sentences enough? Oh, we already know the reason why. This is a 21-year-old white man who chose as his first victim a business that was called Young's Asian Massage. Yeah, he probably knows their service menu very well. And he drove for 27 miles to another spot where he hit 2 more Asian spas. Yeah, but the next 2 that he hit were across the street from one another, so your narrative kind of falls apart there. It's not like he was targeting different places. He went to one, drove into the city to hit up another one, seen that there was something else across the road he could make a target out of, and acted accordingly. If his only problem was sex addiction, he could go and have his choice in those 27 miles of any place that he could have gone, but no, he specifically went to those Asian spas. I doubt she did any research, and I didn't do it either, but were there massage parlors between the Cherokee County massage parlor he hit up and then the next one that he stopped at? I highly doubt it. According to the New York Post, Chu has also been pushing for 2 acts of Congress which would criminalize hate crimes related to the novel coronavirus and beef up local enforcement of all hate crimes of any type. And that's what they want. All this is to push more division. Now, of course, stupid's on her side because she is half Asian after all. Remember, racism is real in America and it has always been. Well, what are you going to do about it? Put more black people in jail because that's all you're good for. Vice President Kamala Harris condemned the U.S. as a racist, xenophobic, and sexist in remarks at the Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia, where she could grandstand on a tragedy. Where she and President Biden traveled Friday to show solidarity with the Asian American community. Yeah, but what about those 2 other people who are dead? They don't matter? No, they don't fit your narrative. I understand. Racism is real in America, and it has always been. As a woman of color, I have locked up so many black people you wouldn't even believe it. Xenophobia is real in America, and it always has been. Sexism, too. Of course it is. 8 people were murdered this week at 3 massage parlors in Atlanta. 6 of the victims were Asian, yes. Though police said that there is no evidence of racial motive, advocates have claimed, that there should be, because it's never, ever, ever enough, okay? And of course, what else are they trying to tie in with this? Trump. Of course. Because Ted Lieu. Ted fucking Lieu. Last time we heard from him, he was trying to impeach Trump. So instead, because he can't get any traction on his own, he's got to drag up the old orange man in order to make any more headlines. Representative Ted Lieu on Friday on MSNBC. See how these people all go on their own fucking little hug box platforms? It's hilarious. Former President Donald Trump referring to the coronavirus as the China virus and the Kung flu. Once again, he never did. That was potentially maybe one of his supporters, but it was never Trump himself. Whatever. Anchor Nicole Wallace. I didn't realize Chris went under gender reassignment surgery. Can you just describe the connection between the smear uttered so many times by the former president we lost track, but repeated this week in an interview with Fox News describing the coronavirus as the China flu or the Kung flu? What happened after that? What happened after all the millions of supporters hear that and their frustration and anger builds about the lockdown? They're just once again projecting all of their own insecurities on the rest of the population. A lot of people have just moved on. Like, nobody's really mad about the election anymore. Just trying to get to the bottom of what fucking happened. We all know nothing's going to happen with... Nothing substantial is going to happen with any of these audits, any of these recounts, these forensic audits as well. The best we can hope for is some proof that something happened and use it as evidence going forward into the future. But no. According to Democrats, all of these hillbillies are still mad, and they're just going to hop in their pickup trucks, and they're just going to start killing whatever minorities they come across. Fucking racists. Now, here's what Rue said. I was just at the House Judiciary Subcommittee hearing on violence against Asian Americans. Very important. And we had professors present studies and reports that showed that there was a link between the racist rhetoric of former... I would love to see this study, and the increase in hate crimes and hate incidences against Asian Americans. We all know who is committing the actual violence, and they have for decades now. But no. It's one fucking basement dweller who shot up a fucking couple of massage parlors. He's the one to blame. He's the one to blame. When the former president uses terms like Kung flu or racist terms in describing the virus, or accurate, or hilarious, it gives people more permission to attack Americans who happen to be of Asian descent. I am not a virus. No, but you're definitely a parasite, Ted. And there is really no evidence whatsoever that Asian Americans somehow transmit the virus more than anybody else. Who the fuck has claimed that one? That's a new one. And I cover this stuff extensively. I have not heard that one before. In fact, you're more likely to get a virus if you don't get vaccinated, and if you don't wear a mask, and if you don't social distance, and if you don't listen to us at every single turn. Another thing about his statement there. Boy, he thinks little about the population. He thinks that saying things like China virus is immediately just going to make people lash out in an irrational rage. Maybe that's why he volunteered to be on the impeachment committee. Maybe because his own insecurities about his own ability to maintain control over his own emotions, and then he just projects that on everybody else. A little food for thought, I suppose. But of course, dragging up Trump, they can't get the words straight from the orange mouth, but I guess they won't have to wait too terribly long. Because it looks like Trump is coming back to social media. Okay? This is weird. Not unexpected. This has been thought about for a long time. And I'll be very interested to see what's the come of this. Clearly, they're building infrastructure behind the scenes. This is something that has not been just thought of all willy-nilly. Clearly, the servers are being built. The web hosting is being built. The advertisers are being assembled. Payment processing, all that kind of stuff is getting built up behind the scenes. And that is a fucking good thing. And if this is what Jason Miller is focusing on, that's all right. Okay? He took a spot over on Newsmax, I do believe, to be a contributor and an analyst. Great. He's not necessarily somebody who I want to have the ear of Trump. But if he's going to be focusing on this platform, if he's going to be focusing on his role on Newsmax, that means more opportunity for Don Jr. and those guys to give proper and thoughtful advice to the former president. All the power to him. But let's wrap this up with this. Trump plans social media return with his own platform. I wonder what it's going to be called. It's going to be something in spite of Twitter and Facebook. I guarantee it. Former President Donald Trump will set up his own social media platform and return to posting online in 2 or 3 months, his advisor and spokesman Jason Miller said in a new interview. For years, Trump favored Twitter as he amassed nearly 90 million followers before the social media platform suspended him in January. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat, and others also moved to suspend the former president. Meanwhile, Trump has indicated that he would use other social medias... that he would use other social media websites favored by conservatives such as Gab, WeMe, or Parler. Miller told Fox News on January 21st that he expects Trump will return to the social media in 2 or 3 months with his own platform that will completely redefine the game and attract tens of millions of users. We can only speculate at this point, and it doesn't really tell us a whole lot, but I think this one's going to be the success. There's no indication as to what type of platform it's going to be. Like, is it going to be like Twitter? Is it going to be like Facebook? Is it even going to be a web hosting service like YouTube is going to be? Because let's be honest, all the alternatives of Facebook, of Twitter, of YouTube, they're marginal successes at this point. I like Rumble. I like Odyssey. I like Parler. I like Gab. Parler, I get the most traction on, and I'm very thankful for everybody who follows me over there. Very thankful for everybody who follows me on every platform. I've great interaction with everybody. But all of them are all just sevens, okay? You know, just kind of, they're good. They're good. They're getting there. But they're all just kind of competing in the same space with no real big hook on any of them. Like, what's the appeal of Odyssey? I don't know. The platform's good. The UI's slick. The back end is very easy to use. And then over on Rumble, what do you have? You have a different type of alternative that's very open forum and probably has the biggest personalities over there. What does that mean? I don't know. It's all just kind of latched onto the entire news sphere. It's very slowly and gradually shifting towards more normie content, which is going to be required in order to attract everybody else over. And then on the social media or the more micro blogging type stuff, you got Gab as an alternative to Facebook, and that's just, I don't know. The fucking guy at the top's a bit of a nut, and I don't like all the evangelical con, you know, the boomer Christian type. Ugh. It just all kind of rubs me the wrong way, like an altar boy. And then Parler, I like it. I was experiencing massive growth on the platform prior to the first shutdown. And then when it came up, yeah, man, everybody was excited to get there. And then it's just kind of plateaued. Like I said, I appreciate everybody who's on all these platforms, but I'm waiting to see what Trump's going to do with his, okay? If it's going to be a one-stop shop for everything, if it's going to be a video hosting site, if it's going to be a Facebook type, if it's going to take the best of all worlds, come together, or just be in an entire ecosphere, maybe it starts out with just one wing where it's kind of like a Twitter alternative, and then he starts rolling out the Facebook type stuff, and then he starts rolling out the web hosting type stuff. That would be great. That is an immediate platform, because there are 89 million motherfuckers out there that were signed up to Twitter to interact with Trump. And I forget the studies that are out there, but it showed that a vast majority of Twitter usages were in direct contact with a Trump tweet, okay? You go over there right now, it is a barren wasteland. Nobody's doing anything. It is a fucking malaise, the likes of which you've never seen on that platform. It's dying. It is ripe for being picked off. That's why I think the Trump platform, it's just going to start with a Twitter alternative. That's what I'm thinking. Something like that. Something between 140 and 1,000 characters. By the summer, it'll be up and running. And there's a reason why it's taking as long as it is for Trump to come back and hop on any website, because he knows immediately his presence gets put on one website, it's going to get taken down by the crowd that just wants to put everybody in that alt-right circle, okay? Just a rumor, remember, led to Parler being taken down the first time. Trump might be going over to Parler. Shut it down, shut it down, shut it down. Can't have that happen again. You got to have complete and total control over everything so that these people who just want to create the division, the people who want to make everything into a racial, a sexual, some sort of identifiable difference, pit them against one another, you got to make sure that the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, because they're going to try, and they'll have all their failing outlets run their pieces on them, like you've seen. That's why we had so many. We had ABC, Washington Times, The Wrap, LA Times, all of them just trying to push this idea that hate crimes are everywhere. Everything's motivated by division. That's because that's what they want. And if you guys want to divide along lines, fine. You guys can have all your old failing platforms, the ones that have got so big to the point where they're just going to be taken apart by antitrust laws. And we'll just be over here creating something new. Okay? Because that's what conservative type minds do. Okay? Take a platform and we refine it and make it work. So I'll be keeping an eye on this one. It would be nice to have a spot where we can all get together, we can all discuss stuff, where it's big enough to really show that there is a need and a want for this type of alternative take, and then it can really make a run at YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all of big tech to reform. Because we just want a fair shot, and if we gotta wait for Trump, it's fucking weird. Thinking about this a decade ago, didn't seem like that, but shit's weird, I guess. With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.